or time it properly because we have time constraints. So you saw me, I just flipped it. So you can flip the piece on the bat that you're going to trim it on.
And you recommend having the bat and not on the metal, correct?
Yes, because the bat pins.
Okay, so now I'll just line it up, okay? I'll just visually try and line it up so that it looks like it's going to be on center. You can use a needle tool or anything that'll make a mark and center it. Okay, so I see that it's dragging right here from here to here. I'm going to go right in the middle and use that as the direction to push in the opposite way. Okay, so I'm going to get it going again and let it drag. And now it's dragging all the way around, which tells me, okay, you're centered. Okay. Now, I may not have to use these wads because I think the bat will probably hold the plate in place. Now I have some residue from the bat and I want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to lightly spin this so that I kind of scrape that off. I don't otherwise ever want to trim the bottom of a plate, okay? Because the bottom, you want it to remain the original bottom. And so I won't trim anything off of it until I get ready to do the foot, okay? So now I'm ready to start, and I'll just start on the side with my bigger tool. Okay.
Hi, Ethan.
And
You want me to
I'm gonna
move?
cut into that area that had that residue. I can still see where that was. So I'm gonna narrow it in to at least there. You know, it's got little chips from the little wood chips from the bat, and that'll just leave little hollow spots. Okay, so now I'm trimming the wall again. Okay, so I'm trying to get rid of as much clay as fast as I can right here. I don't want to, however, bring the bottom too far in. I want it to be enough to where it'll support the rim and support the bottom of the plate without having to make one in the middle. So, because I use so much clay to throw these plates, then painstakingly I have to spend all this time trimming to get rid of it. Like I said, some people would probably say this is a waste of clay. What I do is I'll take, especially when I'm using an expensive porcelain, I'll save all these scraps, and when they dry out, I'll have a bucket of water and I'll dump the scraps in and let them sit overnight. And then I'll begin to mix it. I'll just stir it so that it gets mixed up real good, and I can start taking the water off of it and getting down to where the clay is, and completely recycle it either into a slip, or, you know, you can put it on a bat the way you guys recycle your clay. Okay? So you don't have to waste it. Okay? You don't have to throw it away. Some people might think I'm wasting my time. I don't mind trimming. It's clean, it's easy for me. So, I don't mind doing it. You know, you gotta take off enough clay to make it functional. Okay, so that it's not such a heavy plate. But then, once again, the thicker plates will be sturdier and last you a lot longer. Even if you happen to bump into it or drop it, you know, from a short distance, it'll probably survive just fine. Okay, so you can see I'm using this large tool to get a lot of that clay out of there. Another reason why I kind of like throwing them thick is because when I go to make the foot, which is what I'm going to do here in a minute, I know I have a small trimming tool over here. Does anybody see it?
If you want, you can just borrow mine. I have tiny ones. Do you need a round?
Oh, here it
flat?
Sorry. So the first thing I'll do is just draw a line in here. Trim a line. So, are you gonna make sure these go back, or?
Yeah, I'm just
Is that
trying to
what
put
you're
this one
doing?
in the back.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'll start the foot by just making that line and then trimming away from it, going toward the middle. So all the way into the center, and then I like to flip it over to the flat side. And then heading out toward the foot. Some of that porcelain is getting so expensive that it really does make a difference if you save it. And I'm really happy when I decide, oh yeah, I have a whole stash of this porcelain that I can use to make a slip. And I like to put it over the stoneware. Okay, so now I can start to thin that foot rim out a little bit and narrow that a little bit, okay? Okay, so once again, I'm going to go back to this larger tool, and I'm going to start from the inside go out to the foot. Okay, you see how that kind of smoothed out all those little lines that I had in there?
And if like for the walls, if we wanted to make the walls look really thin, like, you know, like commercial thin, like how will we do that without it weakening it too much? Would we need to have it flip the other way? Or?
Normally you don't get it commercial thin because those are slip cast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's how the thickness is controlled with most of the commercial stuff that you find. Okay, so now I'm pounding on it, and I can see that I'm starting to get a pretty hollow sound as I get toward the middle. So also I'm looking at it from the edge, knowing that I have a continuous curve in this piece. So that's one reason why I like starting in the middle, slight pressure, real slight, and going out to the edge where the foot is. And now I can get in there with this narrow part of this big trim tool. I can really kind of get it into that foot. Now, I like to make it so that when you're glazing, if you leave enough room, you could actually glaze the inside of the foot. Okay? If it's this close, I won't do it. If I can get a little bit more clay off of there, and then I'll take a flat edge and just see. If I have an 1/8 of an inch, I'll usually try to leave the inside glazed, and I think it looks good that way. So, some of my plates, you'll see that the inside is glazed. Okay. Now this becomes kind of a, you know, as you're finishing, you're trying to think of, okay, how does this curve go again? So you're kind of guessing what the inside looks like, and that's an indicator of how much clay that you could probably take off. If you can gauge it mentally, what you have on the inside. And I think I can take off a little bit more. You're never quite sure exactly, but you know, as you get more experience, you'll be able to judge sort of where the wall meets the bottom. Okay, so you're not even really thinking about the foot too much right now. You're thinking about how the bottom goes into the rim. All right. And now, if you're using a porcelainous type clay, which B-Mix is, it's a porcelain-like clay. You want to trim it fairly thin, but because otherwise, if you have it too thick or a little bit uneven, it likes to crack. Okay, so that never makes anybody happy when they get a piece that has a crack in it. It can break your heart. And so ceramics can break your heart. And it's been known to do that. But guess what? That's how you learn. You know, unfortunately, those of us that are so hard-headed can't learn it any other way. You know, it seems like. Okay, so when I get toward the end, I start thinking, okay, can I take a little bit more clay off? You know, how much clay can I get away with taking off before I make it too thin.
And how thick is like, how thin is too thin? Like how much of an inch is like too thin and it would collapse in on itself?
You know, some people work very, very thin, and I have a lot of respect for that. My stuff is always on the little bit thicker side, and I've sort of learned that that's probably just fine for me. You know, some of that commercial stuff is pretty cheap. You can buy it wholesale for, used to be able to buy it for a little over $1 a plate.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so, now on the other hand, these plates can become quite valuable, especially if you have a gift for decorating. The plate is a fine object for decoration purposes. It's so wide and flat that, you know, people really like to spend time putting detail in either carving or painting or whatever type of decoration that they like. Okay. Now there's really no way to tell exactly what you have here until you pick it up, okay? So I try to get as close as I can, and I know I probably have a little bit more that I can trim off of here, but I can flip this over and feel for it and just see how much I have before I have to finish. You know, but I have to decide, okay, if it's too thick, I'm gonna just put it back on. I'm not gonna be lazy about it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back on. So you take this, get rid of this. I like to get rid of this while it's still soft enough. Oh, that's certainly nice right there. It certainly feels nice. Somebody want to try it?
Try like touching?
So you use what I call your pinchers. Whenever you go to feel a piece of pottery, bowls, plates, whatever you're working on, and I can lift this and I can feel the bottom. Now the bottom still needs some taken off of, and I can see that I have that nice curve in there, but I have enough clay to take a little bit more off. Now, what I'm gonna do, because it's getting late, is I'm just gonna cover this. The first thing I'm gonna do tomorrow is come in and work on that bottom. If you wanna come over and feel the edge, it makes me happy to feel that I don't need to go on that edge anymore. It just feels just right. You wanna try it?
Sure. Oh yeah, that does feel really nice.
Oh, I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels good, huh?
It feels good, yeah.
Because what about getting clay and you're charging for it?
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
So I do need to take a little bit more off.